People lose their way and their belongings. Scene 1.
This is a short play about dementia. I'm not a doctor, though I play one on stage. I can begin with an explanation of the stages of dementia, but instead I will start with a joke. An elderly couple was having dinner at their friend's house, and afterward, the wives went into the kitchen, leaving their husbands to talk. "Last night," one said, "we went to a new restaurant, and I'd recommend it highly." "What," the other one asked, "was its name?" The first man thought for a long while, and then asked, "What is the name of that flower you give to someone you love? You know, the one that's red and has thorns." "Do you mean a rose?" "Yes," he exclaimed and turned toward the kitchen. "Rose," he yelled, "what's the name of that restaurant we went to last night?"
Scene 2.
No matter how far or how fast he may run, the chain runs with him.
Start to finish.
How the disease runs its course. Dementia usually develops gradually, and experts divide its progression into 3 stages with the following hallmarks.
Mild.
Memory loss. People can't remember recent events and newly acquired information, and ask the same questions over and over. Difficulty with problem solving, complex tasks, and sound judgments. Planning a family event or balancing a checkbook can be overwhelming. Lapses in judgment, as when making financial decisions, can occur. Changes in personality. People become subdued, especially in social situations, or show uncharacteristic irritability. Attention spans and motivation levels decrease. Difficulty in organizing and expressing thoughts. Finding the right words becomes a challenge. Lost. People lose their way and their belongings.
Moderate.
Increasingly poor judgment and deeper confusion. People lose track of their location, the time, even what season it is. They often can't recognize their own belongings and may take things that aren't theirs. They also may confuse relatives with friends or mistake strangers for family. They may wander and really can't be on their own. Greater memory loss. What's forgotten grows to include their address or telephone number or where they attended school. They repeat their favorite stories or make them up to fill gaps in their memory. Help needed. Choosing proper clothing, bathing, grooming, using the bathroom all may require assistance. Some people occasionally lose control of bowel or bladder. Personality changes. Unfounded suspicions aren't unusual, nor are imagined sights and sounds. People often grow agitated, especially late in the day, leading to verbal outbursts or even physical attacks.
Severe.
Loss of coherence. The ability to properly converse can disappear. Greater assistance. All personal care. Eating, dressing, using the bathroom requires help. Physical decline. People who can't walk unassisted may lose the ability to sit or even hold up their heads. Muscles become rigid and reflexes abnormal. Eventually, they can't swallow or control bodily functions.
The end.
The rate of decline varies, usually slower for those diagnosed younger, but on average, people live 4 to 6 years after diagnosis. Pneumonia is a common cause of death, along with complications from infections and falls.
The horizon is closed and complete.
Scene 3.
It's like a Christmas tree, and I have all the lights on, and somehow these little lights are turning off. That's your memory cells. And you don't know which ones are turning off when, and you don't know when everything will be turned off. But eventually there will be no lights. Hopefully when that happens, I will no longer be alive.
But imagine the most extreme example, a person who did not possess the power of forgetting at all, who would be condemned to see everywhere coming into being. Such a person no longer believes in his own being, no longer believes in himself, sees everything in moving points flowing out of each other, and loses himself in this stream of becoming. Forgetting belongs to all action, just as not only light but also darkness belongs in the life of all organic things.
He is in the early stages of his disease, so he still gets frustrated when the word for
Apple.
slips out of his mind, or he has to call the tiles in his garden.
The square things.
That's a good sign. He still remembers that he forgets. But this year has been the worst so far.
Lock the door. Check the faucets. Turn off the stove. Don't go downstairs when cooking. Don't go out all day.
If you left the house in the morning, he would forget our appointment. There was no one to remind him.
Something bad is coming. That's what scares me.
He had to get an alarm after leaving the back door open one night. He avoids answering the phone, increasingly suspicious of voices, even familiar ones. He has forgotten dinner, cooking on the stove, not recognizing the sound of the smoke detector when it went off.
Even if I smell the smoke, it doesn't register.
He loses track of the ingredients when he tries to cook.
My specialty is, guess what, meals.
So, he eats a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He has stayed home today, but this is not his usual practice. He spends almost all his time outside his house, even taking naps under his apple tree.
Every day must have a purpose.
Cheerfulness, good conscience, joyful action, trust in what's to come, all these depend with the individual as with the people on the following facts. That there is a line which divides what is observable and bright from what is unilluminated and dark. That we know how to forget at the right time, just as well as we remember at the right time. That we feel with powerful instinct the time when we must proceed historically and unhistorically.
The term of Verfremdungseffekt is rooted in the Russian formalist notion of the device of making strange, or Parem Ostranenie, which literary critic Victor Shklovsky claims is the essence of all art. Brecht coined the German term to label an approach to theater that discouraged involving the audience in an illusory narrative world and in the emotions of those characters. Brecht thought the audience required an emotional distance to reflect on what is being presented in critical and objective ways, rather than being taken out of themselves as conventional entertainment attempts to do.
Scene 4.
It is something amazing. The moment, in one sudden motion there and one sudden motion gone, before nothing, afterwards nothing, nevertheless comes back again as a ghost and disturbs the tranquility of a later moment.
A leaf is continuously released from the roll of time, falls out, flutters away, and suddenly floats back into the man's lap.
For the man says, I remember, and envies the beast which immediately forgets and sees each moment really perish, sink back into cloud and night, vanish forever. In this way the beast lives unhistoric.
That amyloid hypothesis dates back more than 100 years to the death of Auguste D., a German woman who, at the age of 50, had forgotten how to write her name. Spent nights screaming, dragged bed sheets through the house, and slipped into vegetative states. Her husband dropped her off in 1901 at a Frankfurt asylum, where she told neuropathologist Alois Alzheimer,
I've lost myself.
After her death in 1906, Dr. Alzheimer gave a landmark lecture describing the posthumous state of her brain. Thin cortex, covered with plaques and nerve fibers tangled like spaghetti. Some experts suspect the tangles formed by a protein called tau are central to the disease, but it was the amyloid plaques that emerged as the key culprit in the 1980s. Possibly non sequitur. I apologize.
Scene 5. Scrub your hands together, Dad. The soap's in your hands. Wash your hands. Can you turn it off, Dad? No, not the light switch, the water, Dad.
Yep.
When they go out, she sits him on the step in her laundry room and puts on his shoes. Velcro tops, no laces now.
No, Dad, the other foot. That's it, Dad.
It's like having a second child in the house. Jane even occasionally calls her mom, except this one is returning to infancy rather than growing out of it. Lately, Jay seems to be unlearning faster. Now, he doesn't know the year or the name of his dog.
I guess I'm down the toilet bowl now.
I'm trying to teach myself, but I can't teach him anything anymore. It's going to be really hard when he doesn't remember who I am. Come on, Dad. You've got to put your head up here and your legs up over. Just relax. You've got to listen to one word at a time, Dad. Head on pillow. Scooch down, Dad. Dad, scooch down. I love you, Dad.
Yep.
The superhistorical person, for whom the world is much more complete and has attained its end in every single moment. For that person, the past and the present are the same.
The proper English translation of Verfremdungseffekt is a matter of controversy. The word is sometimes rendered as defamiliarization effect, estrangement effect, distanciation, alienation effect, or distancing effect. In Brecht and Method, Frederick Jameson abbreviates Verfremdungseffekt as the V effect, Many scholars similarly leave the word untranslated.
Scene 6.
On a Tuesday afternoon at a McDonald's in Mississauga, Radhika Dingler, looking thin and frail in her wheelchair, gingerly sips from a plastic cup. She insists that her son Shan bring her several times a week for the same snack: fries, apple pie, and tea, which, to her 93-year-old mind, is unmatched by anything Shan can brew at home. Even at Indian restaurants, the family has, on occasion, smuggled in a McDonald's cup to fool her. Radhika's children sponsored her to come to Canada from India in 1975, after Shan's father died. Her current fixation with McDonald's, the family theorizes, is rooted in the afternoons when she took her grandkids there for a treat after school. The fast food chain has also been falsely implanted into her childhood memories.
My mother asked, "Where are you going?" I'd say, "I'm going to McDonald's."
So, she recited firmly in English at least a dozen times that afternoon, looping back no matter what question she was asked, even when Shan queries her in Hindi. Shan shakes his head.
My mother asked, "Where are you going?"
She can get stuck there for hours.
He sighs. But Radhika's happy with her McDonald's fiction. She can be cranky, so Shan is prepared to go with whatever works. And there's no sense arguing. The mixed up facts are cemented in her mind until eventually her Alzheimer's disease will steal even them away.
Indeed, there are times when one cannot distinguish at all between a monumental past and a mythic fiction.
An excess of history harms a living person?
These are the services which history can carry out for a living. Every person and every people, according to its goals, forces, and needs, uses a certain knowledge of the past, sometimes as monumental history, sometimes as antiquarian history, sometimes as critical history, but not as a crowd of pure thinkers merely peering at life, not as people eager for knowledge, individuals only satisfied by knowledge, for whom an increase of knowledge is the goal itself, but always only for the purpose of living, and in addition, under the command and the highest guidance of this purpose.
Verfremdungseffekt effect is also commonly translated as alienation effect. This is not, however, a direct translation, as the German word for Verfremdungseffekt does not have a literal English equivalent. Citation needed. Its closest translation into English, making the familiar strange, signifies estrangement or alienation from the familiar.
Scene 7. He is the center of my universe. Are you singing to me?
First, Roger started losing his keys. All the time. Or mixing up names. Parking the mower in the middle of the lawn and forgetting to turn it off. He couldn't remember their wedding day.
I stayed mad about that for 3 days. I didn't know he was sick.
They went to the doctor and got the diagnosis. Roger was only 60. Roger could still make her laugh. And he never wanted to be away from her, which had its own intimacy, but love didn't make it easy. She was diagnosed with throat cancer, and he couldn't understand why they kept making trips to the hospital for radiation treatment.
The beauty was he didn't sit and worry. He was calm then, so his presence was a comfort.
But she couldn't rely on him. Even sick, she cooked and cleaned and kept him safe. The symptoms slowly progressed. He was suspicious when she talked on the phone. He insisted that she go to bed when he did. He bashed on the side of their neighbor's house, cursing some imaginary slight. Police gave him a warning. He refused to go to her father's funeral. One morning, while he was still in bed, she sneaked his old shotguns out of the basement and hid them in the garage until his brother could take them away.
December 3rd, 2007. Journal entry. Stormy tonight. Scary. Roger had a terrible evening. Pacing, crying, wanting to go home, hitting things, etc. I finally got him quieted down around midnight. If it hadn't been for the storm, I would have called 911. I can't do this anymore. But my heart aches for him. He is so tormented.
3 days later, Donna packed a small suitcase, told Roger they were going to the doctor for tests, and took him to the hospital, knowing he was probably never coming back to the house he'd built for her. She sobbed all the way home. Roger fell apart in the hospital. He often wept when he saw her.
Look at me.
His eyes said,
Look where I am.
while Donna fed him supper, he would hallucinate. He cursed and yelled, once even threatening to kill her. And he was impossible to soothe.
I'd give anything to see inside his mind, just for a day. What's going on in there?
In performance, as the performer observes himself, his objective is to appear strange and even surprising to the audience. He achieves this by looking strangely at himself and his work.
Scene 8.
For humanity sits firmly on the memento mori and betrays the fact through its universal need for history.
What I'm doing isn't a sacrifice. It's the time I have with him. I'm a woman in love. I haven't written the end of this love story yet.
With the phrase the unhistorical, you designated the art and the power of being able to forget and to enclose oneself in a horizon with borders.
Superhistorical, I call it powers which divert the gaze from what it is developing back to what gives existence an eternal and unchanging character to art and religion.
Epilogue.
Whether Brecht intended the distancing effect to refer either to the audience or to the actor, or to both the audience and actor, is still controversial among teachers and scholars of epic acting and Brechtian theater.
The end.